It remains a difficult swing for Democrats at the federal level. We've talked about how he won two times with Donald Trump at the top of the ticket in 2016 and 2020, both times overperforming the Democratic presidential nominees in those races. I think that a big part of that has to do with his ability to lose by less in more rural parts of the state. Caller mentioned Roy Cooper coming from Nash County. That's not Durham. That's not Mecklenburg. Guy with 6 statewide wins under his belt over the last 26 years. That's a big part of why Democrats were so eager to get him in the race. That's a big part of why Democrats were so eager to get him in the race and make sure that nobody else of any sort of note ran against him in this primary, give him as clean a shot to the general election, and that first win for Democrats in North Carolina since 2008 and Kay Hagan that they are looking for to help them reclaim the Senate.
And were Democrats successful in the primary tonight, in the contest of keeping the challenge to him as a minimum?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, there are no other primary challengers of any particular note in this primary. I expect Roy Cooper to win with 90+% of the vote here. There was a former Congressman, Wiley Nickel, who was running in the race prior to Cooper getting in. He left the race. There have always been conversations about some other members of the delegation. Congresswoman Deborah Ross, she ran for Senate back in 2016 against Richard Burr, so we know that she has aspirations. There were a number of North Carolina political figures. The state is not lacking for ambitious Democrats looking to run for this Senate seat, and all of them stepped aside for the former governor because everyone down there understands that he gives the party the best chance at flipping that seat.
Matthew Klein?
Yeah, and because they don't think they could beat him in a primary election, which is probably true. He is a formidable candidate. There was a talk at the beginning of the cycle that Don Davis, the congressman from the 1st District, African American, might be able to, was considering a run. He's a strong candidate, might actually be a pretty good statewide candidate, but it's just almost impossible to take on somebody who's that well known.
Michael in Washington, D.C., on our line for Democrats. Welcome to primary night on C-SPAN. Go ahead.
Hey, C-SPAN, longtime listener, first-time caller. Wanted to respond to the Michael in North Carolina, the one who called Tom Tillis a rhino. Just wanted to say that I think that's exactly why you're going to lose this midterms, why I think both chambers will flip. I mean, Tom Tillis, drew the line at 2 Americans being murdered by masked government agents, and that gets you rhino status in the Republican Party these days. It's gone too far. They're going to pay for it, I think, dearly in the midterms. And then I just wanted, lastly, to respond to his little quip about California-ing and New York-ing his North Carolina. What does he even mean by that? Giving them, the 5th largest economy in the world? What a silly thing to say.
All right, Michael in Washington, D.C., on our line for Democrats. Matthew Klein, he says that that kind of attitude towards Republicans, calling them rhinos, is why I think he means the party, is going to lose control of Congress in the midterms.
Well, we'll see about that. Certainly, Tom Tillis was a formidable candidate in his own right. He chose not to run again, in part because it was pretty clear he was going to face a serious primary challenge. That president had made that pretty well known. But keep in mind, right, North Carolina is a state, it's one of those suburban states. It's one of those places where we talk about the Charlotte suburbs, the Raleigh suburbs. Those types of Republicans, they tend to be very comfortable with people like Tom Tillis, and maybe not quite as comfortable with some super MAGA figures, some of those more Trump-aligned candidates. So we're going to have to see. I'm curious to see how Michael Whatley runs this campaign. Does he run a really, hardcore pro-Trump campaign? He was the chair of the Republican National Committee for a while. Obviously, you expect him to be pretty conservative. But just how does he frame himself? That's going to be, I think, what is the most interesting aspect. Because everybody knows who Roy Cooper is, and everybody knows how he conducts himself.
Jacob Rubashkin, does he have to balance the president's low approval numbers right now and his handling of key issues like the economy, immigration? Now you've got this conflict with Iran. Does Michael Whatley have to walk a tightrope here?
Well, Absolutely. Any candidate running in a state as evenly divided as North Carolina is going to be trying to execute a pretty intricate political maneuver, right? This is a state where both candidates have very high floors and low ceilings. We have seen countless statewide elections in North Carolina over the last decade or so, and with I think one glaring exception, all of them have essentially been very low single-digit races, regardless of political environment, regardless of how well-known the candidates are, or how much money they have at their disposal. This is a state that wants to hold really close elections. Now, the problem for Michael Whatley, the challenge that he faces, is simply that he is not well-known. People don't know who he is or what he's about. And Roy Cooper is the best-known Democrat probably in the state. Roy Cooper is also a very good fundraiser. Whatley is a good fundraiser for a Republican, but that's a relative measure because he still pales in comparison to the former governor. And if Democrats are going to go out there and try and define Whatley before Whatley can define himself, that could get difficult for somebody who has really been a blank slate up until now. I think he's going to get a lot more attention when he becomes officially the Republican nominee. But absolutely, it's going to be a challenge for him. And the worse President Trump's approval rating gets, it's going to make life more difficult for him. It's going to make life more difficult for every Republican candidate across the map. But certainly in a state as evenly divided as North Carolina.
We are delayed in getting numbers out of North Carolina tonight. Matthew Klein.
Yeah, so far it's been pretty slow. I think we were expecting that it was going to take a little while. But obviously the races that we're watching, the 1st District and the 4th District, nothing in yet. We'll be very curious to see how those all play out.
Right, and we'll give you those results as they come in. We're watching those races, key races in North Carolina, the congressional, the House races, as well as the general election matchup that political observers believe will be the case here, with Roy Cooper getting the Democratic nomination for the Senate seat and Michael Whatley on the Republican side. Again, Tom Tillis retiring, and so that seat is open. It's a marquee race. It's going to be an expensive and hotly contested one in November. And of course, we're watching the Lone Star State tonight, where a lot of the action is taking place. We haven't yet talked about, Matthew Klein and Jacob Rubashkin, about the governor's race. Not contested here, but Governor Greg Abbott is seeking another term.
That's right. A 4th term, which if he serves his full term, he would be the longest serving governor in the history of the state of Texas. His predecessor, Rick Perry, served 15 years. So Texas likes to give its governors long tenures in office. We haven't talked about that race quite as much, in part because Abbott, being governor and being senator are sort of different beasts. And I think Abbott has remained relatively popular, not, sort of the broad 70% approval ratings that we see with some of the other governors around the country, but certainly he's maintained an approval rating above 50%. People feel like the economy in the state of Texas is going very well, that he's largely managed the state effectively over the past few years. Democrats nominee, or expected nominee, Gina Hinojosa, is hoping to maybe ride on some of the coattails of a potential Senate candidate, but it's a really tall task. We have that in solid Republican at this point. It doesn't look like Democrats are going to spend a lot of money there because it requires a lot of money to spend, and they have better opportunities elsewhere.
With 14% of the vote in from the Associated Press in Texas, look at the Republican primary for governor. Greg Abbott, the incumbent there, seeking a 4th term, 83.6% of the vote. Pete Chambers, his challenger, 9.9%. Again, this is 14% of the vote in, but you just heard from Matthew Klein talking about we expect he gets the nomination tonight, and then he does have a challenger. The money on hand, though, take a look at this. Is according to the Texas Tribune, $105.7 million on hand for Governor Greg Abbott as of January 15th, $22.7 million raised from July to December of 2025. He plans to spend most of it in Harris County. Jacob Rubashkin, why?
It's a big county. There's a lot of vote to be had down there in Harris County. Of course, home to Houston. Remains to be seen whether he really does spend. That's a lot of money to put into one county. And while Houston is obviously a massive city, there are any number of other population centers in Texas, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, even El Paso, that are going to require some attention from the governor. I think the larger point is that he's got the resources and more to do it all. Texas is a state that at the state level does not have limits to campaign contributions. That means that should a donor want to give Governor Abbott or anybody else running for governor a check for $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, they are within their rights and abilities to do so. And that means that he is going to start with a significant, I mean, significant is not even a strong enough word to talk through the financial advantage that he is going to bring into this general election. We have seen, even in years past, when Democrats have targeted the Senate races in Texas, the governor's race has remained less competitive. However, I don't think Greg Abbott is immune to political gravity. He is not, as Matt said, he's not a Governor Phil Scott of Vermont who can win a Democratic state as a Republican with 75% of the vote. If you look at the vote share for Governor Abbott over his first 3 elections,
County that prompted the state elections board to delay the release of statewide results by an hour. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. I wanted this. Okay, that's not what I wanted to say. I guess that was it. It's only that one big issue in Texas.
Over Menifee.
So
most of the vote in this district
That's
is going to
the
come from
update
Harris
from
County
here.
and Houston. This is where the race is going to be decided. Obviously, if you're green, though, this is good news for you to be winning 2-1 in the
How
early
about that
vote in
oil-
Fort
those
Bend.
oil
Again,
futures?
smaller part of the district. What's the split there? Is it like 82-18?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 80% of the vote is going to come out of Harris County, Houston, 18%. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, do we have any other House races?
Nothing right now. No.
Okay, nothing yet in the House races. What do we have time-wise? I want to make sure. Do I have a clock in here? Well, you keep me honest on North Carolina. I know we're nowhere.
Yep, it's 8:22. We have, nothing.
Okay,
in
we're
North
getting close
Carolina
on
yet.
North Carolina. Okay, let me go back to the Senate race right here. Let's go right back to the Democratic race.
Are we sure
and
Topher
let's
is
flip
up
over
to
to the
the
Republicans.
task?
I wanted to see if anything had
I don't
changed there. Okay,
know.
so again,
I'm wondering.
we
Hi,
do have a little bit
TV2
more
Live.
here.
I see you're live too. Hey, everybody,
statewide
I
here,
meant to say
Cornyn
this.
again leading. And again,
Everyone go to TV2 Live and give him a thumbs up because he's live as well. So go over there and hit it. It's TV2_live is his handle. And give him a like. Give him a like. Give him a smudge. It's good to know that I'm not the only person who sings what they're doing. Oh, all the time, life is an opera. It is it.
here is anyone
And
ultimately
I
getting
love
close to
to sing.
50%? If somebody could hit 50% plus one, the race ends on the spot. It ends tonight. We have a nominee on the Republican side. Otherwise, we're talking about the runoff here. So again, we Metroplex. This what you're seeing right now is tilted towards Cornyn. Much more than Paxton in terms of where the vote has come from. I'm going to put the Democratic vote back up on the screen. And what I want to do
percentage points
here,
is kind of a lot.
and Adam, shout if we get anything else. I want to look at my spreadsheet.
Yep.
And my
Exactly.
computer's going
We're
to
gonna
sleep.
hear from Sharon Brown,
And,
reporting
folks,
locally
I'm like,
from North Carolina.
I'm used to television where silence is is the worst thing, right? If I stop talking for 5 seconds, everybody changes it. I don't know if that's. But if you bear with me, I'm going to talk a little bit less here for
Okay, good,
a few
because
seconds because I want to
actually
check
that's
something
fine.
in my.
I'm actually going to turn you off because I actually have some things I want to play. Hold on. La 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 la. We have also the AP feed up, but I wanted to bring in a couple of other things that actually weren't about the elections. Oops, sorry. Because remember I told you I have a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk to you about and read to you from this morning that we didn't get to. We're going to get to it. Yeah, we're going to get to it. But we were going to keep an eye on things too. Oh, here's statewide. Let's look at that. Oops. Oh, man. Why isn't that right? Oh, well, so far, 12% in. Jasmine Crockett is leading by about 8 percentage points.
A big part of it is when you look back at that 2020 Democratic primary and when you look at the polls now that have shown the black vote going overwhelmingly for Crockett, you really could see in that 2020 primary that the results tracked closely with the black population, how big or how small the black population was in any area. Basically, half of the Democratic electorate in Texas lives in a county where the black population is at least, overall, is at least 10.5%. Not the electorate, but the overall population is at least 10.5%.
That's how
so
you do
half
it,
of the overall vote
Stephanie.
is going to
That's
come
how
from
you do
counties
it.
where the
Thank you,
population is at
Tom.
least
That's how you
10.5%
do it,
black.
Stephanie.
In the 2020
Hell yeah.
primary,
Teamwork
Royce
makes
West,
the
who was the
dream
candidate
work.
from the Dallas area, like Crockett is now,
I besser?
won the overwhelming share of the counties where the population, the black population was 10.5% plus.
You're the best.
Then
You're the best.
there were 207 counties where the black population was less than 207. And MJ Hagar, the Austin-based candidate with a lot of parallels, I think, there to Tallarico, won 194 of them. So that is one of the things we have been looking at. What is the black population here in terms of setting these benchmarks? And again, like Fort Bend County here, suburbs of Houston. I mentioned the diversity here. I mean, there's a large. It's a very diverse. It's truly a diverse county in that it's about a quarter Hispanic, white, Asian, and black. There are very large populations of several different groups here. But this is one of the larger black populations you're going to find in a county, especially a county of this size. It's about 20% black, Fort Bend County. So again, when I said Crockett wants to win here and she wants to win big, that's what's going into that. It's got one of the larger black populations of any county in Texas, especially a larger size county here. And again, right here we showed you Fort Worth, Tarrant County, where again, I think Crockett wants to be winning this. I think she wants to be getting close to 60% here. You're looking at a black population here of about 17%. So that's why the expectations here, I think, for her that I've set are so high in those places. Did we just get one down? We had a small amount here. Okay,
Yeah.
this is, yeah. Okay, so now this is, zoom in here. We're getting into the coastal bend here, getting down towards South Texas. This is Corpus Christi. Now it's good timing that this one came up because now we're getting to the part of Texas when you get south of San Antonio. It's going to be, and include San Antonio in this, include El Paso in this too.
Tom, if you want
it's going to be a lot of votes here on the Democratic side. And I'm talking about these counties with significant black populations, with small black populations. Now you're getting into counties that have very small black populations. They have the white populations can be higher here than statewide, and there are very large Hispanic populations that tend to be. So these are areas where Tallarico, again, based on those benchmarks we're talking about, Tallarico wants to be winning. He wants to be winning big down here. Now, what's the benchmark I had for him here in Corpus Christi? I gave him a benchmark of 65% here. So he's running at 62.2% in the early vote. So he's pretty much, and again, these are pretty rough. It's just to give you an idea here, I think, of where the bar kind of is for each candidate. So he's kind of running at expectations right here in the early vote. And now let's see as the same day comes in, when the same day comes in, does he sustain that? Does he go north of that? Does he come south of that? But he wants to be in the mid 60s in a place like Corpus Christi. And that is going to be true for him, roughly speaking, throughout, South Texas, Bexar County. I think Bexar County, I have him for some massive number here. Yeah, I mean.
Can't do this. We can listen to him sometimes, but I'm not going to listen to him a lot. Okay. All right. But what I want to listen to, we will keep an eye on it. I'm so sorry. We will definitely keep an eye. And they're going to go to North Carolina and Arkansas things soon. But there was a few pieces from this morning that we didn't get to that I really wanted to get to. And one was I pulled the piece because I want to talk about the fact that both Rubio and Mike's Little Johnson decided that they were going to just spill the beans and say, Israel made us do it. Israel made us do it. So, and that really contradicted Dump, who today said, I did it. Whatever it is, I did it. Nobody else did it. I did it. Which I don't know if he's supposed to say that because the compromise is so bad or what. But anyways, this is France. This is just the Rubio little soundbite because then I'm going to go to the Mike's Little Johnson soundbite. So hold on. Here we go.
Donald Trump saying it's just the start of a relentless campaign that could last more than a month. Those words backed up, in fact, by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said the war will take some time. Well, let's hear the words then from Marco Rubio.
If we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
And here is Mike's Little Johnson. This is a little bit longer, so we're going to hang in there for this. Oh, North Carolina's coming in. Hold on.
County, piece of Chatham County here, small piece, going to be the smallest part of this. Now, the way it works, again, in North Carolina was they've delayed the poll closing. It was supposed to be 7:30. Now it's a poll closing of 8:30. We've crossed 8:30. In North Carolina, it's a little different than in Texas in terms of how they report the vote out. I don't know if this is going to change now that they've had an extra hour, but typically what they will do is within minutes of poll closing, they'll report out the vote by mail. Okay, so Texas doesn't have a lot of vote by mail. There's more vote by mail in North Carolina. They will report out the vote by mail typically within a couple minutes of poll closing. Then, about a half an hour or so later, you will get the early vote. The early vote's going to be the mother load. That's going to be the biggest single batch you get in these places. And then after that, you'll get generally incremental reports once every half an hour or so of the same day vote as it's tabulated. So generally 3 phases, although again, with the delayed poll closing here, it was only delayed because of one county that is not in this district. So I don't know if that's given them more time here and more ability to get more vote reported out quickly.
Terrified.
But I'm leaving it here for a minute because if past is prologue, it's 8:32, we would get a report here. In fact, let me just get my Carolina sheet out. I can give you exact times. If past is prologue, we're getting something fast here. As in Wake County, the Wake County portion of this district, reported out its vote by mail 3 minutes after poll closing in 2024. We are currently 3 minutes after poll closing. By the way, I'm just about half the vote, 48% is going to come out of here, is going to come out of Durham County. 26% is going to come out of Orange County, where Chapel Hill is. 18% is going to come here from the Raleigh suburbs in Wake, and then it's 8% is going to come from Chatham County. So that's the distribution. And again, Alam is a county commissioner in Durham County. Okay, so this is her home base. She did carry this. It was pretty close. She did carry this, though, over Foushee in their 2022 primary. Foushee, born and raised in Chapel Hill. She is from Orange County. She went to the University of North Carolina, and she previously represented, before she went to Congress, a state Senate district that took in Orange County, also took in some of Chatham County, a sliver of Chatham County that's in this district. So this is sort of her base right here. She ran up the score here in Orange County when she and Alam ran back in 2022. It's smaller, but she won by such a big margin it more than canceled out Durham County. See if that's what happens again tonight or if the dynamics have changed. And then you've got this area right down here, Wake County. And again, this district was changed by redistricting by Republicans this year in North Carolina. Okay. I killed time because I knew it was coming. What are we looking at? So again, I think we're looking at, we're clearly looking at the early vote and the mail vote here. So this is not going to be that three-step process because.
God, stop it. You're making me anxious. God, he gives me anxiety. I know it's important and he's got only a limited amount of time, but he freaks me out a little bit. Speaking of being freaked out by people, let me show you another person that freaks me out. And this is also from this morning. Again, I'm pointing out the fact that both the people supporting the dumpy president, pedophile, also have given up the goods that Israel made him do it. So now it's Israel first. Anyway, here we go.
The Hill, we're going to go to that, and then we'll get to you after.
They gave us the rationale for what was done.
And I was very satisfied with the briefing. It follows up on the original Gang of Eight briefing that we had more than a week ago, several days before the Operation Epic Fury began. I was satisfied at that time. I had, as I can speak for myself, as the leader of the legislative branch, the Speaker of the House, I had multiple follow-ups with the Secretary of State. I spoke with the President about it multiple times, and that was in advance of the operation, and we knew what was happening. I think there are two critical points that I just want to emphasize, the non-classified summary of what has happened here. First of all, to me, the most critical point is that this was a defensive measure, a defensive operation. And why is that? I took some notes, and this is not classified, so I'll tell you what I think is important. Israel was determined to act in their own defense here, with or without American support. Why? Because Israel faced what they deemed to be an existential threat. Iran was building missiles at a radical and a rapid clip to the point where our allies in the region could not keep up.
Oh, that's actually
As you know, Iran has long vowed to take out Israel, wipe it off the map, and they have long seen that as a critical threat to their very existence. Because Israel was determined to act, with or without the U.S., our Commander-in-Chief and the administration and the officials I just named had a very difficult decision to make.
That is the piece I wanted you to hear. So now, today, and I know you guys already know this, but it was interesting that very defensively in the meeting that we watched in the Oval with Merz from Germany, from Deutschland, it was very interesting that Trump was a little testy about it. He was a little tiny bit testy about it. Testy Westy. And he said, I made him do it. If anybody did it, I made him do it. Okay? I made him do it. I made him do it. Now, why? I don't know what the why is, but I find it incredibly entertaining that Dumpy is forced to take responsibility for the whole fucking war crime. Okay? And then these two douche whistles are out there like, oh yeah, no, Israel was going to do it without us, so we decided we had to do it anyway. Literally, what? That seems real wrong. I don't know about how we do war, but that seems real wrong. Yeah. Anyway. And then I have more. Don't you worry. I'm not letting you go back to Texas yet. We're going to wait until they get to the bottom of it. This one was also very, very interesting. This was from last night's Rachel Maddow. I think they let me play it. I think MS Now is fine with shit. Anyway, but I wanted to make sure everybody caught this little segment about Israel and Iran and us. The threesome. The fearsome threesome. Anyway, douche whistles. Douche nozzles, douche whistles. I mean, whatever. I mean, it sounds like it's an Israel. It's actually not an Israel problem. Funny enough.
Is a big country, more than 90 million people, and they are a powerful country with a sophisticated, intensively resourced, world-class, ruthless set of intelligence and security services, which, of course, target their own people at home to disastrous, murderous effect, particularly recently. But those security services and intelligence services also have tentacles all around the world. And they have used them to target the regime's perceived enemies all over the world, including in the United States of America. Luckily, the U.S. government has been all over them on this. They know what the Iranians are capable of. They know what they've been trying to do. Among other things, the United States government has specialist counterintelligence agents in the FBI who specialize in these kinds of threats, specifically emanating from Iran. It's a group at the FBI. It's a unit called CI-12, CI for counterintelligence, CI-12. And thank God we've got them now, right? Now that we just killed Iran's supreme leader and started a huge new war with Iran, with apparently no idea what the consequences would be of us doing that, at least here at home, even if we're just going to be selfish in terms of the risk to us. Well, thank God we've got a unit like CI-12 that really uniquely knows this stuff, that's on it. Right? The group that got that Air Force intelligence spy who defected to Iran, that got the people who tried to assassinate John Bolton and discovered the plots to kill Mike Pompeo and Brian Hook, and even the plot to kill Donald Trump. Thank God we've got this group, CI12, right? Last week, FBI Director Kash Patel, while he was coming off a wave of terrible press about U.S. taxpayers paying him to fly to Italy so he could go to a hockey game and chug beer in a locker room, while he was heading into a whole new round of fresh reporting about how he has ordered an elite FBI SWAT team to be personal bodyguards and basically a chauffeur service for his girlfriend. In the middle of that bittersweet symphony of competence.
No, I think what I interpret what she's saying, meowing, is that she's acknowledging that Iran does have a sophisticated spy network or whatever, and that we don't have the intelligence team anymore that that understood what was happening on the ground in Iran. So that's what I took away from this. She might be a neocon, but I don't know if that's where she's going with it. But she is trying to say that Iran has strong capabilities and that it was important to have this intelligence group. I think that's what she's saying. But fair question.
Last week, FBI Director Kash Patel fired a dozen FBI agents and staff in the elite counter-espionage and counterintelligence unit CI12. We don't know why Donald Trump just started this war in Iran. The Washington Post reported this weekend, and the New York Times reported today, that Trump did it basically as a favor, that there was no U.S. intelligence that Iran posed any imminent threat to us, but Saudi Arabia and Israel told Trump to do it, and so he did it. Because, hey, you know, America first. Strongman. We're just going to put our military at the disposal of other countries because they can tell Trump what to do with it? Quote, the attack came despite U.S. intelligence assessments that Iran's forces were unlikely to pose an immediate threat to the U.S. mainland within the next decade. But he did it anyway, because Israel and Saudi Arabia told him to, and he apparently does what they say. And now 6 American service members are known to have been killed, and many more injured. There's also new reporting tonight that the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia has been hit by 2 drones. The Washington Post is now also reporting that 2 Defense Department employees, U.S. Defense Department employees, have been wounded in an Iranian drone attack on a hotel in Bahrain. And I mean, in terms of what we are heading into and the kind of risk we're heading into, these are the sort of headlines that we're seeing tonight. Quote, earthquake in the Gulf. Iran war expands to a dozen countries in 72 hours. Just 72 hours after the U.S. and Israel began bombing Iran, the war has already consumed nearly the entire Middle East, reached the gates of Europe, and raised new fears of attacks on American soil. This was the front page of the New York Times that we woke up to today. U.S. troops killed as blasts jolt Mideast. Fear of wider war after Iran's response. Here's the headline at the Washington Post. Quote, Trump pursues Iranian decapitation without a plan for what comes next. Quote, security officials in the Middle East and in Europe have raised concerns that the U.S. is unleashing forces that could spill across borders, disrupt global trade, and lead to asymmetric terrorist attack reprisals, all with no certainty that the remaining Islamic hardliners won't ultimately retain their hold on power anyway. Spill across borders, disrupt global trade, lead to asymmetric terrorist attack reprisals. Given those kinds of threats that Trump has just unleashed with this war that he started for reasons he still cannot clearly articulate, I mean, given those kind of threats, given that Pandora's box that has just been opened, do you feel like we've got all our national security ducks in a row here in this country now that we've started this thing? Do you feel like our leaders in the U.S. government are really on the ball right now when it comes to national security, when it comes even just to domestic national security, when it comes to managing potential fallout from this thing that Donald Trump has just unleashed? I mean, you can start with our Secretary of Defense, right? I mean, his immediate previous job before Donald Trump gave him the keys to the U.S. Defense Department was that he was the weekend co-host on the cable news show Fox and Friends. Now we're at war with Iran. 6 U.S. service members killed so far, many more wounded. Hegseth also apparently just lost 3 F-15 fighter jets to friendly fire.
really get people engaged in like finding out more, well, or maybe, I don't know. And I don't really watch her, but I like the piece where she was talking about what Kash Patel did. I thought it was a good bookend. Let's see what else I had. I have one more thing that's about the war in Iran. That's a video clip. I think that's the last video clip I have. This one's a little bit longer. I'm not sure I want to do it. I might do this tomorrow morning, but I do have a little bit more from Justin Wolfers, who's our favorite economist, about the economic impact. Not that should take precedence, by the way, but I find that information is helpful as I try to make sense of what's happening around me. Not in California. Mr. Spock, I don't want to be alarmist, but I'm expecting major disruptions of the voting by Dump and his goons. But I will say this, Neil. I will say this. We did think that was going to happen before. Oh, why am I on Top Chat? We did think that was going to happen before, right? We've thought every time that there's potential for violence at the polls, which there definitely is potential for violence at the polls. It's okay to be pessimistic. That's all right. I totally understand. They seem to be not doing well with the midterms, the final battleground to cancel, cheat. I think they're all in. Well, I mean, I think they have a lot riding on winning the midterms, or shall I say a lot riding on losing the midterms, right? Of course I don't want it, and I know you don't want it to happen. But I also think that I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. The Chuds have a big mouth, and there's many times where I expect them to persevere, where they completely fall apart because of whatever, infighting, not resourced, no direction, zero strategic planning. Oh my God. And even the Republicans in the administration, if you just think about what I just played about Rubio saying Israel made us do it, they were going to do it first. So we had to, right? That's the last thing a country should be in, is a position to go to war because another country is going to do it first. If that country were your ally, you would not be able to, you would not go to war and just say, hey, you know what? Fuck you. We're going to war and your bases are all in trouble. So I think that shows me that there is some really strong inability to plan and coordinate within this regime. And also, the economic impacts of this particular war are working against the interests of the regime, interestingly enough. So that also seems like a huge miscalculation on their part, right? I can't really think through right now what going to war and raising oil prices would benefit this regime in some way, except for the fact that it does distract us from the Epstein continuing investigation, etc. As we watched this morning, it was very interesting to see Crispy Gnome be eviscerated by Foghorn Leghorn Kennedy, and Tom Tillis was incredible. Like, those two men basically carved her up and served her for dinner. Like, I couldn't believe it. So that also was like, what's the sign? The sign could be that Crispy Gnome has overstayed her welcome and she's too much of a liability for this regime. I don't know how they make that calculus. I don't understand it, but I think that's probably what might be happening. Yeah, he filleted her, and so did fucking Kennedy. Kennedy went the fuck after her, and Foghorn Leghorn does not do that. Yep, round 2 tomorrow. We're going to the House, to the judiciary. That should be interesting, perhaps, maybe. So all to say that I think this regime is a little bit over their skis. And I don't think they can, while I think there are some chuds who will inevitably, independently show up to polls and be assholes or something like that, I do not think in any way, shape, or form that even the Mike Flynns of the world, who have his little patriot force, and I'm not talking about the digital soulless, I'm talking about his literal, like, 1A or whatever the fuck he calls his little group of mercenaries. that follow him all around. I don't even think they can figure out how to mobilize that many people in different places. You know, like that is really what it comes down to. Oh, absolutely, meowing. They're sacrificial lambs. They were hired for that, okay? They were hired to be expendable if necessary. But I also don't understand why they've gone so hard in this long, and now is when they would decide to kick her ass to the curb. The timing doesn't actually make sense to me if you're looking at it from a Machiavellian standpoint. But again, I don't think they're that smart. Hello, Paul J. Good, you're super baked. I'm going to join you shortly. So yeah, I just, and absolutely, no, we need the donors, okay? Never mind the fucking, I don't even care if Trump's going to die soon. So who cares about but you know, the JD Vances of the world, the Peter Thiels of the world, the Mark Andreessens, the Stephen Miller, to whatever degree he needs to just leave. You know, all those people, they're the ones that are right now untouchable, and that people don't necessarily, although I think they're starting to understand about Palantir and the fact that it is an existential threat to us with the current Anthropic story and other things. And then had to take a call. Oh, no, I'm good. Stephanie, thank you so much, my love. Thank you so much. I'm good. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the shortest straw has been pulled for you. So I think that there could be, I think that the good news, I guess, I don't know, is that the regime itself is very tenable, not tenable, well, tenuous, right? The regime members, like Howard Nuttlick is going to go down. I'm sorry. If no one thinks that Howard Nuttlicker is not going to have to resign in the next 60 days, you're a fool. Because he's absolutely going to have to step down because he cannot stop fucking talking about Epstein and lying. So there's that. I don't know. Mrs. Beasley, I think, is fine right now. I don't know about Witkoff, but I feel like Witkoff, I don't know. He might not be too popular. I'm just not really sure what is going to happen. What I am for sure concerned about is the fucking death that's happening, and the fact that it really isn't about regime change. It's not up to us to decide. Oh, and then there's Tulsi Toenail Eater. She's going to have to go too because she can't sit on that whistleblower report anymore. And thank you, Griffey. I forgot about her. Because that whistleblower report's going to get out one way or another. And also, you know what else that means? If that whistleblower report gets out, it has potential to impact Jared. Because apparently the one piece of debunked by Crispy intelligence was that two foreign nationals were talking about Jared Kushner. Okay, so Jared Kushner is not out of the water yet. And that's the whole Witkoff thing. So there's some really kind of, there's some soft underbelly there. But at the same time, like Meowing Star says, that's not cutting the head of the snake or whatever metaphor you want to use. Sorry to use a violent metaphor, but that's not addressing what the root cause is of this. And the root cause are the oligarchs. And if you don't dismantle that system, and if you don't dismantle, late stage capitalism and move on to a different, more revolutionary model of distributed wealth, then it won't last. Like literally, like there has to be a reckoning because people are not only tired of like just the usual, they're tired of politics as usual, much more so than they had, or at least I felt they had in the past. I'm hoping, like I know that we're not like, whatever. Well, we're going to talk about Polymarket too. We might do it tomorrow morning because I'm getting a little tired, but we will talk about Polymarket and Kalshi and all of those. Tulsi Gabbard was part of a cult where she ate the toenails of her cult leader. Yeah, look it up. It's true. Oh, we went to Peaches and Cream. Yum. Oh, my God. Yeah, Howard Nuttlicker, he's going down. Howard Nuttlicker's going down. Tulsi Toenails is going down. Pete Pig's Breath, probably going to go down. Yeah, bitch. Black. Truly signs we're at the end of this era. I agree, Meowing Star. I agree. And so my bet is let's go. Burn it down. I know I wasn't always that girl, but guess what? I'm burn it down. I do want us to use the good parts that keep people alive intact so that we can figure out how to build on them. But burn down, like take money out of politics, reverse Citizens United, expand the SCOTUS. I don't know how you do it without the president, but let's figure it out. Yeah, like do investigations on the SCOTUS people. Maybe that's what a Democratic Congress could do, right? Literally, a Democratic Congress could probably look to impeach SCOTUS. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. They could shut down things like Polymarket and Kalshi, which, by the way, are where fucking Trump Jr. is making money off the Iran war. That's one of the stories I'm going to read to you tomorrow morning about Jr. making bets on the fucking Iran war. Okay? So the corruption, it's going to bring them down. Maybe not right away, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think there is a rise in this country. And people are like, no, we don't want to be fascist. No. And the prices, one of the pieces I'm going to play you probably tomorrow morning is Justin Wolfers talking about the economics and what this war does to our overall economics, which is not pretty. Just ask the Dow, which had a dead cat bounce today, but still was not doing well. I saw that the use of tactical Oppenheimer devices is being bet on those. Yep. Oh, yeah. By the way, just checking in on the Strait of Hormuz. It's been this way since I've been monitoring it on Sunday. And that means, see, this is the Strait of Hormuz right here, right? This is Iran right here, right? And this is, I can't remember what. But anyway, so here's the thing. There's no shipping traffic. So, yeah, they say, oh, no, the Strait of Hormuz is still, it's not open. It's not open. Nobody has been going through this strait for at least the last, 48 hours, at least, maybe more. So that's where that's where a lot of the oil supply gets from. And over here in the Suez Canal, I'm probably not going to find it in the right place here. But over in the Suez Canal, I'm not going to embarrass myself by not being able to find it. In the Suez Canal, the Houthis are also like, yeah, you know what? We should bomb ships in the fucking Suez Canal. Or not Suez. Is it the Suez? Yeah. So it's not looking good for global supply chains. And Lee, if I'm not mistaken, let me see if I can go back and find Lee's input, because Lee is the lounge trade representative. She actually works in trade, and she's actually recently been with other professionals in the trade industry. So she's bringing us this very fresh, hot news. And she says freight rates already increasing. Steamship lines diverting and not booking any shipments from this zone. Flashback to COVID with supply chain issues, tariffs, rising gas prices, and truck freight. Truck freight. And then also the insurance companies are pulling out of insuring ships that are going through the the Strait of Hormuz. But I think did Trump try to say that he's forcing companies to insure shipping? I think I might have read a headline like that, but I'd have to look. Yeah, the cost to get the goods on shelves is rising again. So that's gonna be really fun, and we're gonna have a good time. Let's all start urban gardens, okay? Can we do that? I think that would be good. And mutual aid. Mutual aid is the way, kids. Mutual aid is the way to go. Let's build in our fucking communities systems that support people, especially during hard times. Okay, that is really what we should be focused on now. I'm not very good at it. I need to really get knowledgeable about my community and what they're doing. Yeah, Lee says, good luck with that. Steamship lines will give him the bird. Yeah, I would imagine. Why would a fucking... See, this is the same thing about a fucking vaccine company. I once had an argument with a bro on Spaces about vaccine companies don't have any liability for their drugs and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that might be true. Okay, you can argue about that. But what in the world, if you're a fucking capitalist, what capitalist fucking owner of a pharmaceutical company is going to take the liability on 6 billion doses? Are you kidding me right now? What kind of company is going to work on a vaccine and promise to turn it around quickly, but take all the liability if shit goes wrong? And I'm not trying to stump for Big Pharma. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to present a scenario that I would think Republicans, as supposedly the fiscal minded among us, would actually, of course, they don't know how tariffs work, so we know that's not true. But that's my point. What fucking pharma company is going to take the liability on billions of doses of something that they've had to turn around? That's dumb. Fuck you. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. Nobody would take that deal, okay? Nobody would. That's a lot of money and a lot of exposure. I just saw some serious shrinkflation. Hillshire Farms smoked sausage now looks like a Pee-wee sausage, and it's the same price. I've been noticing that too. I mean, if you want to change the fact that the drug companies aren't liable for the effects of their drugs, then you need to figure out how to do that. But it is not just like, yeah, you know what, you're liable. Create this vaccine in 12 weeks, and then you're liable for it if anything goes wrong. I mean, come on. That's dumb. Nobody's going to do that. I mean, work on it, but I don't think it's going to happen. This is the watch parties, but that's not very interesting. Hold on. Yeah, this is kind of boring. I'm going to just get rid of that, I think. Let's see if this.
You're looking at
we're going to check in with
about
Steve,
10%
and then I'm going to
of
come
this
back,
district.
and I'm going to read
the vote in this
you guys
district is
some
ultimately going to
things.
come out of Uvalde County.
Bacon is being
and I just
added,
wanna,
sold
I
in
have
12-ounce
benchmarks here
packages
as
instead
well,
of 16.
which I am
So is
furiously
coffee.
scrambling to find in this great, neat pile of paper that I got here. Bear with me, if you would.
You know what? He's confused. I wanted to just get some results. Hold on. I'll try and find just results.
Yes. So, okay. Yeah. About 10%, this is interesting, about 10% of the vote in this House primary is going to come out of Uvalde County. In the early vote here, you can see it's a 9-point advantage for Herrera. I think what is significant is in this same county in 2024, when Gonzalez was narrowly survived the primary, Gonzalez won this county in 2024 over Herrera by 10 points. Okay? In the early vote, he's trailing it by 9. All right, so you can see, again, this is probably close to 10% of the vote. When all is said and done, probably close to 10% of the vote
Brandon
in
has
the
good hair.
district is going to come out of
Brandon
here.
has some pretty good hair
and
there.
Gonzalez, at least in the early vote, is not tracking
his
what he
hair
got
won.
in 2024. 2024,
He looks pretty scary. I'm sorry. They both look
narrowly
scary.
survived a challenge from
Oh,
Herrera.
he has the Texas
But
results?
again, the lion's share of the vote, we can just show you a few more counties here where we have some vote.
Webb came in for Tallarico.
Oh, we got Webb. Okay. Laredo. This is one of the big counties and big population centers in South Texas, deep South Texas. Let's take a look at the Democratic primary for Senate because we've got, here it is, Webb County. And there you go. The early vote is in. Tallarico, 65. Crockett, 31. I have my benchmarks. Let me bend over here. All right. I have my benchmarks. And yeah, I got Crockett sitting here at Tallarico at 62 in my benchmark. He's running at 65 in the early vote down here. Again, this is totally consistent with what we've been talking about here. As you get into South Texas, where that Hispanic vote looms large, Tallarico is clearly winning it. He's clearly winning it by a substantial margin here, and he's right sort of at those benchmarks that I think he wants to be at in this place. That was just looking here at Cameron County.
Yet
Do we don't have
again,
any same day
I'm
from South
stealing
Texas, do we?
TV2 stream, and
Hey,
I
I
see
apologize.
my-
I won't
go ahead.
keep it on
Yeah,
the whole
tough to
time
say
because
right
that's
now.
not
Okay,
fair.
on the
But please
Democratic
go
side,
over and
Montgomery
give
County just
TV2
came
a like.
in. Does that mean it came in on the
Hi, Jeff
Republican
Curry.
side? This is
know
again.
this
This is the
stunning
overwhelmingly.
30-year-old
This is Trump's biggest
was
county in
doing
America.
the show now.
Let's take a look here at the Republican
Didn't
race.
you?
Yep. Okay.
What happened?
Yeah,
I thought I was 29.
okay. This
What
is
happened?
what
Why
I
am I
was
30 now?
suspecting might happen. Look at that margin for Ken Paxton.
Grizzly
This is
Adams.
a monster county
Anyway,
here
the
just in terms of
Texas
its size
results.
in
James
Republican
Tallarico,
politics. Again, there is no county in
52%.
America more than 3,100.
Okay, be quiet. James Tallarico is at 53%. Jasmine is at 46%. And Ahmad Hassan is at 1%. Looks like Michael Whatley is winning the GOP in wherever, can't remember, North Carolina. I think he's North Carolina, is putting you in his stream. Oh, we're going to be in each other's stream. I love it. I want to see you put TV2 in your stream while TV2 is putting you in his stream. Inception. Yeah, Lee actually she works in trade, so she knows. Well, what Lee said was the trade community is very determined to pivot and work around the tariffs however we can. The CAFC telling DOJ in your face, toilet face, with the refund ruling yesterday was perfect. Yeah, they really nailed that one. So thank you for making sense of things that I cannot make sense of, which is James Tallarico is winning. Michael Whatley is winning for that. And Roy Cooper, who's the Democrat, really killing it, man. He's killing it. I'm going to keep the view on. I'll keep the view on for TV2's. So there's an extra view on there, but I won't play his stuff. Maybe got mixed up. I'm a tad stoned. Jeff. Oh, I would hope so. I'm going to forgive it this time, but that's all. Snowden! Oh my God, where you been, girl? Where have you been?
Of them that delivered a bigger vote. Saw what that delivered for Paxton. What does a very, very big pro-Paxton electorate mean for this House race? How are they siding here? I keep waiting for it to flip. I'm thinking it's going to come on, but Adam, keep me.
Yeah, I can let you know when it comes in.
Folks, I'm going to zoom out and do the Senate race because we're about to do that for the News Now broadcast. Oh, now we're going to zoom back out on this. Okay, we're just waiting. They're just the guest is still
yeah,
finishing
I'm sorry.
up.
You're right.
And they're going to come to us.
Okay, they're waiting. Hold on. We're just going to let him silent because you know what? I want to read some stuff to you anyway. Dang it. Dang me. Oh. Boop. I wanted to read this. I think this was shared by Gal or Teresa. God, everybody shares things, and I'm so dumb when it comes to that. Your commentary is more important than the video. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. All right, well, let me read to you. Okay, how about that? I'm going to read to you. Trump sends official. This is from Fox. Sorry. Am I the only sober person here? Are you? I don't know. Your periodic reminder that John Dump went through Tesla's documents after he died and found nothing that would be a danger in enemy hands. What? Carla, what was that? What the hell's that? What? Okay, President Donald Trump, I'm sorry you can't see that, on Monday sent an official notification to Congress about the U.S. strikes against Iran, in which he attempted to justify the military action in the now expanding conflict in the Middle East. In a letter obtained by Fox News, Trump told Senate President pro tempore Chuck Pigeon Man Grassley, I'm Pigeon Man, that, quote, no U.S. ground forces were used in these strikes. No, we just killed the people that were at their bases. That's all. And that the mission was planned and executed in a manner designed to minimize civilian casualties, defer future. Well, that's just all lies. Okay, so that's fine, Dumpy. This comes at after a joint U.S.-Israeli strikes against Iran on Saturday as part of Operation Epic Fury. That's what I call it, Epic Fury. That's what I call it. Next time, 28. Yeah, right? Okay, that's fine. It's no problem, Jeff. I got you. I'll take it. I'll take it all. I'll take the 30, too. Okay, let's see. And the mission was planned, whatever. This comes after, whatever, Epic Fury, triggering a response from Tehran and a wider conflict in the region. The strikes kills the, Khamenei. Dump wrote that it is not yet possible to know the full scope of military operations against Iran and that U.S. forces are prepared to take potential further action. I mean, the tape that Bibi has on Trump must be really good. I don't know. I'm just saying. I want to see it. Although the United States desires a quick and enduring peace, it's not possible at this time, period. No. Oh, to know the full scope and duration of military operations that may be necessary, Dumpy wrote. He didn't write that. He absolutely didn't write that. As such, United States forces remain postured to take further action as necessary and appropriate to address further threats and attacks upon the United States or its allies and partners, and ensure the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran ceases being a threat to the United States, its allies, blah, 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 blah. I directed this military action with my responsibility to protect Americans and United States interests at home and abroad. And, this is the Texas statewide.
Timing, you guys. Bexar County. This is San Antonio. This.
Oops. Did they shut him up? Did I shut him up?
The early vote out of Bexar County. So this is a very big one here. This gets to what you're talking about, certainly with Hispanic vote. Tallarico winning the early vote in Bexar County here, 56-42. Now, what's interesting is I've been looking at I've been talking about this on the live stream here, benchmarks that I've kind of had in these counties for these candidates. I think from what we'd seen elsewhere that Tallarico perhaps wanted to be doing a little bit better, or wants to be doing a little bit better than 56-42 in Bexar County. I think he wants to be in the 60s here. I think he wanted to be in the 60s here. We'll see as the same day vote comes in here if this number ticks up for him. But I think it's interesting because the bigger point I was about to make is that elsewhere, south of San Antonio, we are starting to get some big counties here, okay? This is where Corpus Christi is. You see, what you're talking about here is small black population, large Hispanic population, okay? And
yeah, okay. Thanks, Steve, for that riveting commentary. Okay, I directed this military action consistent with my responsibility, blah, blah, blah. I acted pursuant to my constitutional authority as Commander-in-Chief and Chief Executive to conduct United States foreign relations. Oh, is that what we call war now? Foreign relations? He's a Bible beater. I don't think I can handle him. But you know what? I'm not a Texas voter, so I respect whatever the voters of Texas say. I really do. It's not my choice. I personally prefer Jasmine Crockett. I think she's strong, and the Senate does need her. I think she's ready for the Senate. I think she's done a great job in the House. That's all. So anyway, that's just me. Bye, puppy. Did you eat your dinner? Go eat your dinner. It was out there a long time ago. Let's see. Okay, Trump said he was providing this report as part of my efforts to keep the Congress fully informed. I just did it after the weekend. I bombed them, and then I told you. Okay. I don't think he does have a chance of winning the Senate seat. I don't think he does. I just don't think he does. I think that we've done that too long, where we're like, oh, take the safe guy or whatever. I don't think any of them are safe. I don't know. That's just me. But I don't know. I think we can't. I don't know. I just don't. That's not the way I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I think we have to be bolder. I think it's okay to be bold. But I don't even know why Jasmine Crockett is far more experienced than James Tallarico. So I don't even know why there would be a choice. Like, why is Tallarico even winning or even running? Does the Democratic Party in Texas have that little confidence in a fucking sitting representative who has been at the forefront of holding this regime to account? Like, there shouldn't even be a conversation. Okay, now I'm kind of stepping into territory that I don't have the right to step into, but I mean, that's how I feel about it. Anyway, whatever. I guess we'll find out, but it just seems like, wow, that seems pretty... yeah. The president accused Iran... Wait, what? Okay, wait, here we go. Providing this report as part of my efforts to keep the Congress fully informed, consistent with the War Powers Resolution, as some Republican and Democrat lawmakers attempt to restrain the president's military action, which they affirm is unconstitutional and without congressional approval. Well, okay, there seems like that's an easy question to answer. Either it is or it isn't. So if it's not constitutional, then why is he allowed to do it? I know that they're going to, I think tomorrow is when the Congress is going to debate shutting down his powers. So we are going to be watching for that. Yeah. Okay. The president also accused Iran of being among the largest state sponsors of terrorism. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. Sure. Largest but not largest midnight hammer. Okay. Literally said nothing. That story literally said nothing. Incredible. Just incredible. I love Crockett, but I like Tallarico's the richer the problem method could be a unifier. Yeah, I just think, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, this is the beauty of politics, is that the only beauty is that there isn't, there isn't a one perfect answer. She doesn't? Are you sure about that? I feel like she does. I think she definitely talks about economic equality and things like that. But again, that's, that's what makes the world go around. All our different opinions. If Jasmine loses the primary, does that mean she's out of the House in January? No, because she's running for Senate. So I don't think she had to give up. Did she give up her seat? I don't think she did. I don't think so. But that's a great question, Lee. I don't know the answer to that. Hold on just a minute. Where is it? Go back to House if she loses Senate race. Boo 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 do 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 do. Why didn't they answer that question? I feel like there's a lot of noise behind me that I'm freaking out about. Let's see if that is down. I don't even know. Nobody is answering that direct question. Oh, I see. Oh, I guess not. Is somebody else running for her seat? I'm so sorry. I'm dumb. Is someone running for her seat? Or is she redistricted out? Remember when she was redistricted out? Is that what that means? In January, her seat goes away? Yeah, read chat. Okay. I agree. The Bible thumper part is scary. My gut feeling, but Texas does love him. I'm not denying that. I thought her seat was lost. Yeah, I think you're right, Lee. It was lost in the redistricting. Yep, Pep. Yep, Max. Yep, Snowden. Yep. Roy Cooper is chatting with Rachel. I don't think I have access to their broadcast, but I can check and see if I do. Tallarico is better on healthcare than Crockett. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's interesting. Message got split. I hope she does win. My message. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's all bad. She doesn't make it. Oh, yeah. It's not all bad if she doesn't make it. Yeah. I just don't know. Lost her seat when she ran for Senate. Yeah. Well, yeah. Katie Porter. I don't know. Something got me weird about her, but I could be me. I agree. So that's all very interesting. I find it, so this is fascinating. I can't wait to see what happens in Texas and if this really does flip the seat, against, what, are they going to run against Corny Cornyn, I guess? Is that what they're going to run, who they're going to run against? Which, I don't know. Corny's pretty, I don't know. He's a tough one to run against, right? Corny Cornyn pulls it out of his ass at the last minute every fucking time. I feel like Paxton, I don't know if Paxton would win a state. Well, I guess, would he win a statewide race like that? I guess he would. He'd be an absolute fool in Senate. Oh my God. He would be one of the most embarrassing people in the Senate. That for sure. What a coincidence that Texas redraws its map and Crockett's seat vanishes. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, just all it. Yeah. Yeah, that. Okay, let me read to you something else. I pulled up a lot of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of the rapture, speaking of the rapture, this is was also provided to me by one of you beautiful people, but I can't remember who it was. Damn it. This is from today? Yeah. No, yesterday. This is a Substack, Jonathan Larson's Substack. U.S. troops were told Iran war is for Armageddon, return of Jesus. Oh, Jesus is back? Oh, wait, that's not it. Nope, that's not it either.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Okay, great. We're ready. Jesus is coming back. Fantastic. It's just fantastic. Texas may catch a cold over their redistricting. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. A little bigger. A combat unit commander told non-commissioned officers at a briefing on Monday that the Iran war is part of God's plan and that President Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. Oh, really? According to a complaint by a non-commissioned officer. From Saturday morning and through Monday night, more than 110 similar complaints about commanders in every branch of the military had been logged by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. The complaints came from more than 40 different units spread across at least 30 military installations, the MRFF told me Monday night. The MRFF is keeping the complaints anonymous to prevent retribution in the Defense Department. The Pentagon did not immediately respond to my request for comment. One complainant identified themselves as a non-commissioned officer in a unit currently outside the Iran combat zone, but in ready support status, deployable at any time. The NCO said they were Christian and emailed the MRFF on behalf of 15 troops, including at least 11 Christians, 1 Muslim, and 1 Jew. The NCO wrote to the MRFF that their commander urged us to tell all troops that this was all part of God's divine plan, and that he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of... This was Oren. Oren, you sent this. You sent this. You shared it, actually, on Blue Sky. That was all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
That's right. Santi. That's what I got to do. Okay, Monday's email from the NCO said that their commander's remarks, quote, destroy moral and unit cohesion and are in violation of the oaths we swore to support the Constitution. MRFF president and founder Mikey Weinstein, a veteran of the Air Force and Reagan White House, told me that since the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran early Saturday morning, the MRFF has been inundated with similar complaints. Quote, these calls have one damn thing in freaking common. Our MRFF euphoria of commanders and command chains as to how this new, quote, biblically sanctioned war is clearly the undeniable sign of the expeditious approach of the fundamentalist Christian end times as vividly described in the New Testament book of Revelation. Many of their commanders are especially delighted with how graphic this battle will be, zeroing in on how bloody all of this must become in order to fulfill and be in 100% accordance with fundamentalist Christian end-of-the-world eschatology. Weinstein cited constitutional and uniform code of military justice prohibitions against injecting religious beliefs into official military instruction or messaging. He said, quote, any military members seeking to take advantage of their subordinates by advancing their blood-soaked Christian nationalist wet dreams upon the flames of this latest non-congressionally sanctioned attack against Iran should be swiftly, aggressively, and visibly prosecuted, end quote. Weinstein added that the MRFF received similar complaints about Christian eschatology, end of the world theology, whenever this ship blows up with Israel in the Middle East. After the October 7, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, for instance, the MRFF reported a complaint about an Air Force commander who said at a briefing that, quote, the war between Israel and Hamas has all been foretold by the book of Revelation in the gospel of Jesus Christ, and no one can do anything about that. Nah. And then he stuck his tongue out, and it got a little weird. French Foreign Minister Hubert Védrine said, one has to avoid falling into this huge trap, this monstrous trap set by al-Qaeda with the 9/11 attacks. Bush dropped the term crusade. While Christian nationalism has simmered in the military for decades, Pig's Breath has even ended the pretense of official intolerance for it. Trump, too, has cast himself as a champion of Christian exceptionalism, embedding it within the divisions of the executive branch. As I revealed last year, Pig's Breath sponsors the weekly White House Bible study that preaches support for Israel. Some Christians claim biblical prophecy requires Israel to exist for Jesus to return. But Hegseth's Bible study leader, preacher Ralph Drollinger, teaches that the reason to support Israel is that God still blesses Israel's allies and curses Israel's enemies, even though Israel killed Jesus. Okay, I'm not saying it. This guy is. This smear, the historic root of anti-Semitism, has been rejected by every major religion. After Israel's attack on Iran last year, Drollinger dedicated 2 weeks of lessons to preaching support for Israel. His lessons went out to White House cabinet members and members of Congress, even as Israel, too, was lobbying for U.S. engagement. That's so low. Yeah, okay. I don't even know what you said, but I know it was stupid. Pig's Breath has also initiated monthly prayer sessions, most recently featuring Doug Wilson. Oh boy. Jenny Cohn writes about Doug Wilson on Blue Sky. Please follow Jenny Cohn. Yeah, you can't reel in. There's no. Oh, yeah, my sound. Okay. I know the sound is really low. Sorry about that. Okay, Pig's Breath. He has also brought in preachers from his personal circle, rejecting any attempt in making the meetings ecumenical. Hegseth himself also speaks at these meetings, proselytizing his personal religious beliefs. This is, I think... No, not yet. Don't speak.
This is, I think, exactly where we need to be as a nation at this moment. In prayer, on bended knee, looking up at the big guy. Wait a minute. That's not where I'm going. Recognizing the providence of our Lord and Savior, Jesus H. Christ. Amen.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Thank you very much for coming to my pastoral session. I really Really, really super appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
Few hours later.
Oh, bye. That's not the button.
Cheese and rice. Do we need to see his freaking study notes? Hegseth himself also, whatever. While the MRFF historically has been able to get the Pentagon to swat down Christian incursions into the military, the Trump administration is openly disdainful of military norms and law. It remains to be seen whether and how wholesale Christianization of the Iran war will be opposed by officials inside the Pentagon or political and legal advocates for secular values outside of it. This is the NCO email to MRFF. This is from an active duty military non-commissioned officer, and MRFF's client email address is withheld. Subject of this email was Unit Combat Readiness Briefing and Armageddon, March 2nd. To information to this is the religious freedom. Mr. Weinstein, thank you for taking my calls and the calls of some of my colleagues as to what happened earlier this morning with our combat unit. Please protect my identity and the identities of those I'm speaking for, as we discussed. Our unit is not currently in the combat zone, AOR, regarding the Iranian attacks, but we are in ready support function where we could be deployed there at any moment to join and augment the combat operations as participants. I am an NCO, non-commissioned officer in our unit. This morning, our commander opened up the combat readiness status briefing by urging us to, quote, not be afraid as to what is happening with our combat operations in Iran right now. He urged us to tell our troops that this was, quote, all part of God's divine plan, and he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. Little baby Jesus coming back. He said that President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and mark his return to Earth. And boy, is he pissed. No, I'm just kidding. He had a big grin on his face when he said all of this, which made his message seem even more crazy. Our commander would probably be described as a Christian first supporter. He has been this way for a very long time and makes it clear that he desires all of us under him to become just like him as a Christian. But what he did this morning was so toxic and over the line that it shocked many of us in attendance at the ops readiness briefing. Besides myself, I am reaching out to MRFF on behalf of 15 fellow troops. I know you asked me about religious views of our group who has requested help from the MRFF. I can only tell you that I am Christian, and at least 10 of the others are also Christian. One of the others is Jewish, and one is Muslim. I don't know the religious or non-religious status for the other 3 at this time. I and my fellow troops know that it is completely wrong to have to suffer through what our commander said today. It's not just the separation of church and state, as we discussed, Mr. Weinstein. It's the fact that our commander feels as though he is fully supported and justified by the entire combat unit's chain of command, to inflict his Armageddon views of our attack on Iran on those of us beneath him in the chain of command. I hope by sending this email to you that it will help expose these wrong actions which destroy morale and unit cohesion and are in violation of the oaths we swore to support the Constitution. And this is this statement. Let me see. Yeah, I'm going to read this statement. Statement from the MRFF. Since the start, this is all quote, since the start of the unprovoked American and Israeli war on Iran this past Saturday morning, the Military Religious Freedom Foundation has been literally inundated with desperate calls for help from military members across all branches, organizations, and MOS, AFSC, SFSC designations, which are military occupational areas. Well over 100 calls have already come in, and more keep coming. These calls all have one damn thing in freaking common. Our MRFF clients report how the unrestricted euphoria of their commanders and command chains as to how this new biblically sanctioned war is clearly the undeniable sign of the expeditious approach of the fundamentalist Christian end times, as vividly described in the New Testament book of Revelation. Many of their commanders are especially delighted with how graphic this battle will be, zeroing in on how bloody all of this must become in order to fulfill and be in 100% accordance with the fundamentalist Christian end-of-world eschatology. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation demands that all personnel in the Department of Defense, not war, remember and fully internalize that the oaths that they swear are not to the narcissistic, sociopathic, orange POS T-Rump, nor to little Petey Kegseth, nor to Jesus Christ. On the contrary, their oath is solely to the United States Constitution, which includes both a full separation of church and state mandate in the First Amendment and no establishment of any sort of putrid religious test in Clause 3 of Article 6. Any military member seeking to take advantage of their subordinates by advancing their blood-soaked Christian nationalist wet dreams upon the flames of this latest non-congressionally sanctioned attack against Iran should be swiftly, aggressively, and visibly prosecuted for numerous violations of the military criminal code known as the Uniform Code of Military Justice. You know, the very same criminal code that Secretary Kegseth is trying to prosecute Arizona Mark Kelly under for simply advising military members not to obey illegal orders. And, like ordering otherwise helpless military subordinates to acknowledge that the Iran war has been sanctioned by the fundamentalist Christian nationalist. Oh, thank you, TV2. Thank you so much. We're giving you a watch behind the scenes, but not taking your content. To acknowledge that the Iran war has been sanctioned by the fundamentalist Christian nationalist version of our Lord and Savior and the New Testament in specific in order to bring about the end of the world and usher in a 1,000-year reign of Christ. I mean, a 1,000-year reign of Christ. No thanks. No thanks. Didn't we have that? Haven't we had that? I don't know. The Jewish people are still waiting for their Messiah, right, to gather in all of the Jews for redemption. Like I said, yeah, it's all insane.